Well, it's going to get down below freezing tonight, and since we only heat our house with wood, I know that it's going to be the first of many, many fires on the homestead tonight. So when I made the fire tonight, I realized I'm all out of my fire starters. So I'm going to teach you how to make those today. Hey everybody, welcome back to the homestead. This is Kevin with Living Traditions Homestead. And today I'm going to show you how to make the fire starters that I use here on the homestead. They're really easy to make, very inexpensive, and I use them for a ton of things. Obviously I use them when I'm starting a fire in our wood stove during the winter, but I also use them underneath my charcoal chimney to start my charcoal in the summer. I use them when we have campfires. I always keep a few in my backpack just when I'm out in the woods or going on a long hike, in case in a survival situation I would need to have an easy way to start a fire. They're just a good thing to have around. If you're going to be starting fires for any reason, they will start very easily, and they'll give you a good 10-minute flame to get the rest of your fire started. So I highly recommend that you make some of these. They're super easy, and I'm going to show you how we get started. Now, the first thing that we're going to need is some wax. Normally what I do is I try to save old candles, or find old candles at garage sales, things like that, if I can get them real cheap. And then I'll use that wax to just melt down to make the fire starters. Unfortunately, this time I didn't have any old candles, so I just went to the store and bought in the baking aisle. They have this Gulf wax. This is a pound of wax, and it's like $3, and this will make a lot of fire starters. So the way that I like to melt it down is on our wood stove, because it melts it nice and slow, and just, you know, is a real even heat. So if you don't have a wood stove, you can definitely just do this on the stove top. You want to have an old pan or old pot that you're not going to use for anything else. Do not go and get one of your wife's good pans out of the cupboard to do this, or you're going to be living outside in the doghouse, not in here by the fire. Also, when we get to the next part, don't use one of her good cookie sheets. I've learned that lesson the hard way, and again, it doesn't put you on her good list. So we're going to melt down this wax. We're going to just put it on the wood stove and get it melting down, and then we'll head out to the kitchen and I'll show you how we do the rest to make the fire starters. Alright, so again, all we're going to do is put these bars of the wax down in the pot. They'll melt pretty quickly, especially if you're doing it on the stove top. But you can see it's already starting to melt. So we're just going to let these sit here on top of the wood stove until they're all melted down. And as soon as they're melted, we'll head out to the kitchen. And I'm just going to put them all in here. If I end up not making that many fire starters tonight, that's fine. That's, again, all I use this pan for. So I'll just let the wax harden back in there and heat it up again next time. So I'm going to get going. This will probably take about 5 or so minutes to melt down, and then we'll get going on the next step. Alright, so once your wax is completely melted, the next thing you're going to need is a big bunch of cotton balls. Doesn't have to be any certain kind, just standard cotton balls. And then a few other things that you're going to need. Just an old pair of tweezers. Again, don't steal your wives. And an old cookie sheet. So it's really an easy process. All you're going to do is, when you take your cotton ball, pull up just a little, almost like a wick at the top. That's where you're going to hold it with your tweezers. And you're just going to dip it into the wax. I like to dip it about 3/4 of the way. Let it soak up all of the wax. And then just set it on the cookie sheet until it cools. Now, I don't like to do this too often, so when I do it, I normally make quite a few at a time. And then I just store them in a big quart-size mason jar next to our wood stove, and 1 quart size jar will hold probably, I don't know, 50 or more of them, and that will get us through most of the winter making fires. So I'm just going to do these one at a time and set them here on the cookie sheet, and then let them dry. You can put them in the freezer if you want them to dry a little faster. Set them outside this time of year, or you can just leave them and eventually they'll dry. Once I'm done with all of these, I'm going to light one for you guys to show you how long they actually burn for, because if they don't burn long enough for you to be able to get a fire going, there's really no point in making them. So when we're done, I'll light one and we'll see exactly how long they burn for. Alright, so I've got them all dipped, ended up being just about 50 of them, and it actually ended up using the entire pound of wax. So this should be a good jar full of them. This should get us through at least most of the winter. So now is the time we're going to try one, and we're going to see exactly how long they burn for, because again, if they don't burn long enough for you to be able to get a good fire going, then they're not much good. So let's go ahead and try one and we'll see how long they burn for. Alright, so I'm going to light this and we're going to start a timer. Alright, so there you have it. 18 minutes and 40 seconds it burned for. So if you can't get a fire started in 18 minutes and 40 seconds, you're doing something wrong. That's all I have to say about that. You need to try a little harder. So you guys, I highly suggest that you try making these. They just come in handy for so many things around the homestead. Again, I use them for starting our fires, for starting my charcoal, for all kinds of things. So you guys, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button before you leave, and until next time, you guys, thanks for stopping by the homestead, and God bless.